Welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth and this is Best Bookish Reviews, and I'm here today to do a tag video. Nobody has tagged me for this video, but I saw it going around and I just wanted to do this tag. So the creator of this tag is Rainier from Rainier Books, and I went over and watched his video for it, and he said that there's only one prompt for it, that you present 10 books from your shelves that have been there at least a year or more and present them. So I went through, I have 11 because I'm not sure where I bought one of the books that I have, but I'm going to present all 11 because I pulled them out. Why not? And so I got the 11th one out just in case. So I'm going to start with, I have Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn. It is science fiction fantasy. So I would say it's high fantasy. I bought 3 in the set and they've been on my TBR for over a year, I know. But I haven't read it. I'd been hearing about Brando Sando, and I had been watching all the booktubers talk about how wonderful this series was, how wonderful Brandon Sanderson's writing was. I bought this set, the 3 in the set of the Mistborn trilogy. I know there's more to the trilogy than this one. And then I also bought, just a little while after this set, I also bought Warbreaker. I haven't read it either, but this says, once a hero arose to save the world, he fell. Oh wait, let me read the top first. It says, the mists rule the night. The Lord Ruler owns the world. Once a hero arose to save the world, he fell. Ever since, isn't that wonderful? Ever since, the world has been a wasteland of ash and mist controlled by the immortal emperor known as the Lord Ruler. But hope survives. A new uprising is forming, one built around the ultimate caper, the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind, and the determination of an unlikely heroine, a street urchin who must learn to master the power of a Mistborn. It does sound really good, and I'm sure his writing is every bit as great as everybody says, because people reread his books over and over. So, I mean, I don't know why. They sit up here on my shelf and I look at them every day. So I don't know why. I don't know why I don't read them. That's number 1. All right, this next book I bought to go with another book. So I bought Napoleon the Great and I started reading it, but I got to page 10. Okay, this isn't the one I bought. I bought it, but that's not the one I'm talking about. So I started this one and got to page 10, but I stopped in order to get Plunder, Napoleon's Theft of Berenice's Feast by Cynthia Saltzman, and I was going to read them together. Well, obviously I put this one down to get this one, and then this one came in, and then I never picked them both back up. So I'm going to put this one down because this isn't one of my 10. So this one still sits on my shelf, lost to whatever happened. So it says, Cynthia Saltzman's Plunder recounts the fate of Berenice's wedding feast at Cana, a vast, sublime canvas that the French, under the command of a young Napoleon Bonaparte, tore from a wall of the monastery of San Giorgio Maggiore. I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering that, but on an island in Venice in 1797. Once it was pulled from its frame, the canvas crossed the Mediterranean, rode on a cylinder bound for Paris. Soon after, more artworks commandeered in Venice and Rome were triumphantly brought to the French capital. In 1801, the Berenice went on exhibition in the Louvre, the new public art museum founded during the Revolution in the former palace of the French kings. As Saltzman tells the larger story of Napoleon's looting of Italian art and its role in the creation of the Louvre. I know I'm not reading that right. I'm not pronouncing it right. She reveals defining traits of his character, his desire for greatness, and his ruthlessness in getting whatever he sought. After Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815, the Duke of Wellington and the Allies forced the French to return many of the paintings and the sculptures they had seized. Nevertheless, the French resisted sending the wedding feast at Cana back to Venice, and the painting remains in Paris to this day, hanging directly opposite the Mona Lisa. So I thought, and I got the idea from another booktuber, and my friend Chris, I believe she also influenced me on this idea. She might have been the one that said it and not the book. I don't know. Anyway, it might have been her idea to read Plunder and Napoleon the Great together. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened to my plans, but I do need to read these two because of my DIY literature degree. This was happening during that time. So next, I didn't find out when I bought these. This isn't quite a year old, so I'm gonna go ahead and show it because it's coming up. It's not quite, but I know these others are a year old. So The Dark Queens, and I meant to read it for my teaching, but because I teach ancient history, it says The Bloody Rival That Forged the Medieval World, and this is by Shelley Puhak. It says, Brunhild was a foreign princess raised to be married off for the sake of alliance building. Her sister-in-law, Fredegonde, started out as a lowly palace slave, and yet in 6th century Merovingian France, where women were excluded from noble succession and royal politics was a blood sport. These two iron-willed strategists reigned over vast realms, changing the face of Europe. Excuse me. The two queens commanded armies and negotiated with kings and popes. They formed coalitions and broke them, mothered children and lost them. They fought a decades-long civil war against each other. With ingenuity and skill, they battled to stay alive in the game of statecraft, and in the process laid the foundations of what would one day be Charlemagne's empire. Yet after the queen's deaths, one gentle, the other horrific, their stories were rewritten, their names considered to slander. Their stories were rewritten, their names consigned to slander and legend. So, The Dark Queens. So, I mean, it sounds really good, and it would be something I could pass on, as information to my students. There were queens that ruled. So, I also have some book of the months that I have not yet read, that I have had for a while. So, in my box that I received April 2023, I ordered Elizabeth Wetmore's Valentine in February 1976. Now, this is only a year and a few months before I was born. And Odessa, Texas stands on the cusp of the next great oil boom. While the townsmen embrace the coming prosperity, its women intimately know and fear the violence that always seems to follow. In the early hours of the morning after Valentine's Day, 14-year-old Gloria Ramirez appears on the front porch of Mary Rose Whitehead's ranch house, broken and barely alive after a vicious attack in a nearby oil field. This act of brutality is tried in the churches and barrooms of Odessa before it can reach a court of law. When justice is evasive, the stage is set for a showdown with potentially devastating consequences. And the same month, I also got in my Book of the Month box. I only ordered 3 that month. Why couldn't I read all 3 of them? I read the other one, the main one, the book of the month. I also got I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. Now, my book of the month books sit in the front on a top shelf of my bookshelf. So I see them all the time. Romania, 1989. Communist regimes are crumbling across Europe. 17-year-old Christian Florescu dreams of becoming a writer. But Romanians aren't free to dream. They are bound by rules and force. Amid the tyrannical dictatorship of Nicolae, Ceausescu, in a country governed by isolation and fear, Christian is blackmailed by the secret police to become an informer. He's left with only two choices: betray everyone and everything he loves, or use his position to creatively undermine the most notoriously evil dictator in Eastern Europe. Christian risks everything to unmask the truth behind the regime, give voice to fellow Romanians, and expose to the world what is happening in his country. He eagerly joins the revolution to fight for change when the time arrives. But what is the cost of freedom? That one seems like it would be really intense, as a lot of hers do. And then, April of 2022, I received this one in my box. I have since received another by this author and read it, and was very disappointed in the ending. But in April of 2022, I ordered in my Book of the Month box, No Exit by Taylor Adams. And I have not read it. In that box, I received 3. I have since unhauled one of them that I never read. I picked up and read one of them, partially read one of them, put it down, didn't hold my interest, and unhauled it. And then I read one of them, and I have not picked this one up. It says, a determined young woman must unmask and outwit a vicious psychopath in this tense and clever tale of suspense. On her way to Utah to see her dying mother, college student Darby Thorne gets caught in a fierce blizzard in the Colorado Rockies. With the roads impassable, she's forced to wait out the storm at a remote highway rest stop with no cell phone reception. Inside are some vending machines, a coffee maker, and 4 complete strangers. Desperate to find a signal to call home, the exhausted young art student goes back out into the storm and makes a horrifying discovery. In the back of the van, parked next to her car, is a little girl locked in an animal crate. Who is the child? Why has she been taken? And how can Darby save her? There is no way to call for help and no way out. One of her fellow travelers is a kidnapper, but which one? Trapped in an increasingly dangerous situation, on the edge of civilization, with a child's life and her own on the line, Darby must find a way to break the girl out of the van and escape. But who can she trust? On the back it says 13 hours, 4 strangers, 1 missing child, no exit. She knows her odds. She'll fight anyway. So, okay, the next book is the second in a duology. I read the first book and loved it, and then immediately got the second book because it was already out by the time I read the first one. I didn't read it. It's sat on my shelf ever since. I got it in December of 2023, I believe. Oh, I gotta hit search. Yes, December 15th. Well, that's when I ordered it. Ruthless Vows. So, by Rebecca Ross. And this is the second to the Divine Rivals with Iris and Roman's love story. It's the beginning of Ruthless Vows. No, Divine Rivals is their love story. And I can't tell you about this, what the synopsis is of this one, because that would be giving away something that happens in Divine Rivals. So Divine Rivals is about, what is her name? It's been so long since I've read it. Iris is writing letters and putting them in this, I believe it's a closet. And she thinks her brother, who is off fighting a war, is getting them. She works at the newspaper. And Roman is her biggest rival. So he is actually writing her back. So, and she thinks it's her brother, but he's actually getting the letters and writing her back. So I didn't like how it ended. I didn't like how the first one ended, but it was on such a cliffhanger. You'd think I would read it. Okay, so The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I'm not sure where I bought this one from, but I know it is set on my shelf for so long. It says, Theo Decker, a 13-year-old New Yorker, miraculously survives an accident that kills his mother. Abandoned by his father, Theo is taken in by a wealthy Park Avenue family. He is bewildered by his strange new home and tormented by his longing for his mother, clings to the one thing that reminds him of her, a small, mysteriously captivating painting that has come into his possession. As an adult, Theo moves easily between the antique store where he works, the drawing rooms of the rich, and the underworld of art. He is alienated, unmoored, and in love, and drawn inexplorably by the power of that painting into a narrowing, dangerous circle. So it's a chunker, but I'm used to reading big books. I like big books. Okay, the next one is, I ordered it June of 2023, and I got it to read during Jane Austen July. We're in another Jane Austen July. I did not attempt to read it, but it is Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. It says, take a trip to Jane Austen's world and many places she lived as historian Lucy Worsley visits Austen's childhood home, her schools, her holiday accommodations, the houses, both grand and small, of the relations upon whom she was dependent, and the home she shared with her mother and sister toward the end of her life. She just, shows you around. And there are wonderful pictures. And people say that this is a wonderful book, that Lucy Worsley just does such a good job writing about Jane Austen. The next one I've had for just over a year. I got it July the 7th of last year, and I've picked it up and put it on a couple of TBRs, but I never read it. I end up putting it back on the shelf, and that is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. But I am planning to read it in September. That is my plan. It says, tremendously popular in her lifetime. Oh, wait a minute. An enchanting tale of romance, scandal, and intrigue in the gossipy English. Okay, let me get to where it talks about it. It was set around the 1830s. Tells the story of Molly Gibson, the 17-year-old daughter of a widowed country doctor. When her father remarries, she forms a close friendship with her new stepsister, the beautiful and worldly Cynthia, until they become love rivals for the affections of Squire Hamley's sons, Osborne and Roger. When sudden illness and death reveal some secrets while shrouding others in even deeper mystery, Molly feels that the world is out of joint, and it is up to her, trusted by all but listened to by none, to set it right. So, I've heard it's really good. I've heard all of these are really good. And my last one, I got in December of 22. And my sister told me about this, and I have recently seen so many people on BookTube reading this book in June and talking about how wonderful it is. And I have been experiencing FOMO. I'm hoping this pushes me to finally pick this book up, because it has been on my shelf for 2.5 years now. I'm trying to get the sticker off, but there's still some sticker on it. And that is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And if you haven't heard about The Grapes of Wrath and what it is it follows the movement of thousands of men and women and the transformation of an entire nation during the Dust Bowl migration in the 1930s. The Grapes of Wrath is also the story of one Oklahoma farm family, the Jodes, who are driven off their homestead and forced to travel west to the promised land of California. From their trials and their repeated collisions against the hard realities of this new America, Steinbeck creates a drama that is intensely human yet majestic in its scale and moral vision, tragic but ultimately stirring in its insistence on human dignity. So, that is my 10 Untouched Book Tag. And I guess I need to tag somebody, but I don't know who to tag. So I'm just going to say, if you haven't done this tag, feel free to, yeah, I don't know who hasn't been tagged. So if you haven't done it, I'm tagging you. This is your tag. Consider yourself tagged if you haven't been tagged. So yeah. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.